for our new friends to learn. We would like to invite our Japanese friends to sing along. We will sing along in Japanese. We have just learned it this morning, so we offer it to you as you sing along with us. And for those who don't speak Japanese, you sing it in English. And whenever I practice singing meditation, I always feel very light and joyful. So I hope you feel the same way. So now we sing the same song, but in French. It has a different melody. So all our French friends, please join and learn with us. Okay, now the next song that we would like to invite you to practice singing with us is Breathing In, Breathing Out. And this song we sing with the awareness of our breath, our body, and we get in touch with the openness, the ready to receive of a flower blooming, or the freshness of a dewdrop. And this song we have gestures or movements that you can do along with the sisters as we do them to show you how they are done. And we get in touch with the elements of solidity in us, or the element of water reflecting peacefully what is there and what is in reality. So please enjoy and get in touch with these beautiful qualities in yourself and in all other beings. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as a dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true. And I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free. So now we will offer the next song, Happiness. And this song we can practice when we let go of our projects and plans and our worries. We can do that just for this present moment and the here and now, so that we have a chance to refresh ourselves, feel light in our body and mind, and rejuvenate ourselves so that we can calm our body, so that when we do need to come back to our projects and plans, we will have a fresh mind to come back to. So we will sing Happiness is Here and Now, and we will sing this song in English, in French, and we also invite our Chinese friends to sing it in Chinese. And we will have some sisters who will sing in Chinese with you. Now in French. Le bonheur, c'est maintenant. J'ai laissé tous mes soucis. Nulle part aller et rien à faire. Pas besoin de me presser. We invite our two sisters to sing it with you in Chinese. And for those who don't speak Chinese, please continue to sing in French or in English and really get in touch with the happiness that is already inside you, with a smile and just relaxing your body. Again, shall we do it again? Now you can do it in any language you like. We all sing together, those who are here in the meditation hall, and those of you who are at home, sing whatever language you like. Please, last time.
This
Thank you, sisters, and thank you, dear friends, for practicing singing meditation with us. And you can practice this singing meditation anytime in your day. And like the song says, we have something to do, we have somewhere to go, but when we practice to do it with ease and lightness, not to hurry, then we will feel happy inside and peaceful inside. So now, to begin our Dharma talk this morning, we have Brother, true Dharma friend. I will introduce him, and then he will come up and. Okay, sorry. So I've heard that the announcement about the French translation is not quite ready. So we can give us another few minutes. What? Okay, so while we're waiting for the French translation, we might like to sit comfortably, and I will do a short guided sitting meditation for us to come back to our body and mind, and so that our mind can be clear and calm and open to receive the talk that the sharing from Brother Pháp Hữu this morning. Okay. We don't need to do some short guided sitting meditation after all, because the French translation is up and going. So now I would like to say a few introductory words about our Dharma teacher this morning. His name is Brother Pháp Hữu. In English it means true Dharma friend. And he is a young, dynamic brother who is also an abbot of Upper Hamlet. And maybe you have already met him through the orientation sessions in our pre-retreat package, where he will share with you some practices or how to best benefit from this retreat. I hope you've had some time to look over it. And of course you will be very familiar with Brother Pháp Hữu. And this morning he will give us an opening talk and share with us. So please, we can welcome him. We have a small sound of the bell to invite all our friends to stand up in the meditation hall.
Good morning, dear respected Thai, dear community. We would like to invite our community live here, as well as all of our friends who are joining us on this retreat, to come back to our breathing as we listen to the three sound of the bell. It is a tradition in Plum Village. We always start our formal sessions as a community with enjoy listening to the sound of the bell. It is something very simple, but it's very powerful. When we listen to the sound of the bell, we also come back and listen to our breath. Our breath is happening right here, right now, very naturally. All we have to do is bring our mind and be aware of the action. We don't have to think. We can just feel it. Feel the in-breath coming in, nourishing our body. Feel the out-breath as it manifests. And just stay with the in-breath, just stay with the out-breath as we listen to the sound of the bell. Breathing in, aware of my in-breath. Breathing out, I'm aware of my out-breath. Dear friends, welcome to our online retreat. It is a wonderful moment to be breathing all together, to be sitting all together. Today, as we begin our retreat, we don't waste any minute, we don't waste any moment. In the practice of mindfulness, we learn that every moment is a chance for us to cultivate the energy of mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the capacity, the ability for us to be aware of what is happening in the very here and now. And when we practice mindfulness, we have to ask ourselves, what are we mindful of? What are we aware of? We have to direct our attention. A lot of the time, we have a habit of being caught in our mind, in our thinking, whether it is in the past or in the future. And something new that we learn when we practice mindfulness is we learn to bring our mind home to the present moment. It sounds very simple, but it's not as easy as you think. Because we have a tendency for us to be carried away. It's very natural for us to be carried away by our thoughts and our worries, our fear, or even our thoughts of happiness. But when we practice mindfulness, we have to practice to come back to the present moment. It is so basic, but it is one of the foundations of our practice here. And when we practice mindful breathing, it gives us an opportunity to let our mind take refuge in an action that we do on a daily basis. So when you learn to come back to your breath, something is happening. You are guiding your mind home to the present moment. And in that moment, a miracle happens. You are fully there. And when you are fully there, you are in touch with life. You are aware of what is going on first inside of you. It's so important. We have a body, but we may not know that we have a body We have feelings, we have perceptions that are manifesting every moment. And we don't allow ourselves to truly understand what is manifesting. And therefore, a lot of the times, we allow ourselves to be carried away by our emotions and our feelings, as well as our perceptions. But here, when we practice mindfulness, we learn to be aware of what manifests. The Chinese character of mindfulness is very interesting. I will walk slowly so the camera can catch on. This character here means the present moment. And the second character is our mind. When we bring our mind home to the present moment, we are fully there. That's all you have to remember. The practice of mindfulness is the practice of bringing ourselves home to the present moment first. So every time in this retreat, when you hear the sound of the bell, either in a Dharma talk, when we sit together in Dharma sharing, that bell is an invitation for you to come back to the present moment. We are trying to establish a new habit for ourselves, a habit of coming home. When we sing, "I have arrived, I am home," it doesn't mean France, it doesn't mean Plum Village, it doesn't mean Japan, Australia, America, etc. But "I have arrived here" is to arrive in this very moment. If we know how to arrive in this very moment, we allow ourselves to be at ease. We allow freedom to be there. Because when we are truly home, we are more free. And with this insight, you don't feel lost, and you feel that anywhere you find yourself, you can be at home. Home is a very safe feeling. It's a refuge. A lot of us, whenever we travel far and wide, and no matter how luxurious our vacation can be, but when you arrive home, it's a feeling of safety. It's a feeling of something very familiar. And with this practice of mindfulness, we learn to make this present moment familiar to us. We want to be a friend with this moment. And all of us can do this because all of us has the seed of awareness inside of us. Either you are a monk, a nun, a long-term practitioner, or even someone today, your first retreat, your first moment of breathing. I don't give you mindfulness. It's already there in you. But I am just showing you, we as a community here in Plum Village, we are sharing with you this insight, this technique to be able to just come back to the present moment. Suddenly something happens. You wake up. You wake up to life. In Buddhism, we speak about the 3 times: the past, the present, and the future. And a lot of the times we live in the past or we live in the future. And in the past, there's many layers. Some of us, the layer of fear, of hurt, of despair. Or in the future, we have the layers of anxiety, worries. What will happen tomorrow? But when we come back to the present moment and you're in touch with the here and the now, you're in touch with yourself, you see that in you, the past is also here. Because of the past, all of the conditions that have manifested, that has happened, has allowed you to be who you are today. And when some of us, we may be in touch with the present moment, we may not see something pleasant because there's too much suffering. And if we touch the present, we might touch the wounds of the past. And we can also get lost in the present moment, because in the present moment, we can get lost in the suffering. But here, the teaching of the present moment is to learn to see that in the present moment, you take the past, you become aware of it, you understand it, and you take care of it. And we ask ourselves, what is the ingredient of the future of tomorrow? The answer is in the present moment. If we know how to take care of the present moment, we are doing the best we can for the future. With this insight, it's very powerful. Because when you learn that in the present moment, you are creating a future, then you know that in the present moment, you are also creating a past. We may have a lot of pain and suffering in the past. And every time we visit the past, those memories, those experience just causes suffering to us. But when you have this insight and you see that, this is the past, and you know that in this present moment, the next moment will become a new past. So with awareness, you start to learn to act and behave and change our way of living so that the present moment will now become a beautiful past. And the present moment is creating a future that we envision for ourselves, our loved ones. When we understand the present moment like this, we see that our happiness and our suffering depends on our own practice of how we take care of the present moment. It sounds very easy, but after 18 years, I'm still learning to take care of the present moment every day. And as a practitioner, it's okay not to be perfect. To practice doesn't mean that we have to be enlightened right away. We don't seek happiness in the idea of enlightenment. Just like with mindfulness, the energy of awareness, we have to be aware of something. Enlightenment is also we have to be enlightened of something. Small enlightenment, small moments of mindfulness allows us to grow our enlightenment. Baby steps first, basic first. And even after many years of practice, we always come back to the basic. Because after many years of practice, I discovered that in the basic practice is also the most deepest practice. In the practice of awareness of oneself, you also learn to take care of what manifests. When there is a feeling of joy, of happiness, we have to be aware, this is a moment of joy. This is a moment of happiness. And we might think that happiness or joy is something very far away. It's in an idea. It's after we succeed something, after we finish a project, after we get a degree, a diploma, or after we finish 3 days of practice. But you see, after that project is finished, if we don't have the ability to be in the present moment, we look for the next project. Or after this diploma, we still feel empty. So we then look for another success. So we might find ourselves keep running after something. And when we keep running, we may never have a chance to truly live. And here is the retreat to awaken to life. And in life, there is so much miracle. There's so many wonders that is available for you right here, right now. When we practice breathing, just the act of the breath, knowing that it is so easy to breathe in and so easy to breathe out, you know that is a great joy, that is a great happiness. We are very aware of COVID-19, and one of the symptoms when you get the virus, it attacks your lung, and many people have difficulty in breathing. So don't take the act of breathing as something so normal. We take for granted. So this moment when you can breathe in so easily, you see that life is coming. And when you recognize that with each in-breath, there is life, that is a simple awareness. That is an enlightenment, that life is in the here and in the now. In this practice, we don't have to wait until it is difficult to breathe, to try to breathe. But right here, right now, we have to take in this teaching, this practice, and make it a foundation for our meditation. Breathing, something so simple, but so practical. I remember one time Thai told us, and now that you have this practice, you have no excuse not to practice. So whether you are in Plum Village, you're in a meditation hall or not, you know that as long as you are breathing, that is an opportunity for you to practice. And when you practice breathing, it's not a religious practice. It's just something so simple. Everyone breathes. It's very human. But here, we just bring our awareness to the breath, aware that it is happening in and out. That is the first exercise of mindful breathing. Aware of the in-breath and the out-breath. We practice this together at our first session of sitting meditation, and we practice it every time we listen to the bell. But we don't wait for a session. Whenever in this retreat, whenever you find yourself outside of the retreat, meaning that you're caught in a worry, in a thought, in a project, just bring your mind to the in-breath and the out-breath. Whether you are standing, sitting, taking care of your family, that moment is also a moment of practicing, just being aware of the in-breath and the out-breath. When you practice in-breath and out-breath, recognition, mindfulness manifests. The energy of mindfulness manifests. Let us practice together, following our in-breath and our out-breath. Just be aware of the in-breath and the out-breath. We don't force our breathing. It is happening very naturally. We just bring our attention very gently. We may like to, if our concentration is very shallow, then we can put our hand on our abdomen. And as you breathe in and out, you can feel your abdomen rising and falling. So we don't think. In this practice, it's more about we feel the breath that is manifesting. Let us listen to the sound of the bell and breathe in and out 3 times deeply. Every time you breathe mindfully like this, you know you are not breathing alone. There's around 400 of us in this retreat, all together practicing mindfulness. And when we all practice together, we create an energy of mindfulness. And when you know that others are breathing along with you and practicing together, you don't feel alone. You don't feel like I'm the only one trying to be mindful. But you know there is a community that is also training and putting this practice into our daily life. And the second practice of mindful breathing is to help develop our concentration. Is to follow our in-breath and our out-breath all the way through. Mindfulness established once we are aware of it, but when our practice is not solid yet, our mind has the tendency then to run to something else, whatever pops up in our head. And it follows that thought, it follows that perception. So here, in the practice of mindfulness, we also want to be in mindfulness. And to be in mindfulness, we have to put a little bit of effort. And we have to develop our concentration. So we follow our in-breath all the way through. Once again, you don't have to force it. As you breathe in, you just know this is in-breath. And you stay and you take refuge in the in-breath. And as you breathe out, you don't lift off. but you bring with your mind, with your awareness, and you stay with the out-breath. And in this practice, you're training your mind, you're training yourself to stay in mindfulness. A lot of us, we have the intention to be mindful. It's very wonderful to have that intention. But that intention may last just a few seconds, a few minutes. But here we try to make it more, we want to make mindfulness more present in our daily life. So we have to develop a concentration in the act of mindfulness. So when we follow our in-breath and our out-breath, we are training our mind to stay with an object, with a practice. Like I say, a lot of the time, you will find yourself, after I'm aware of my in-breath, oh, what's for lunch? Oh no, I didn't pack my food yet. And then you follow. That is also awareness of following something, but that is not following and being developed with the practice of mindfulness. So here, when you are with your breath, you allow yourself to stay with that action. And this doesn't only, it's not only for breathing. Even when we practice walking, it is the same. In this retreat, we have a chance and we are invited to practice walking meditation, either together at the same time with the community in Plum Village, or at a more suitable time in your daily schedule in this retreat. So the practice of walking is to be aware of the step. At first we can just say, I'm aware of my step, I'm aware of my step. But then after that, we once again follow our thoughts, our perceptions, whatever comes up. But here we also want to practice our concentration to fully be in touch with the step that we take. And in Plum Village, our teacher teaches us to combine the breath with the step. As you breathe in, we have two styles. One is slow walking and the other is normal walking, but maybe a little bit more slow, because most of the time we are already very fast. And because we are fast, it's because our mind is very fast. It's chasing an object, so therefore our bodily action also expresses itself in that way. We always want to arrive at that destination. And sometimes we are in a hurry for no reason. It's just a habit. So here, let us turn down our energy of rushing with something very concrete, is establishing our steps with our breath. You may like to, as you breathe in, take 1, 2, or 3 steps. And as you breathe out, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Normally our out-breath is longer than our in-breath. So just be natural with it. And the practice of meditation here is to be relaxed. In this morning's meditation, we learn to be in touch with our body. And that is the third practice of mindful breathing. Is to be aware of our body. We have a body, and most of the times we take it for granted, and we don't really are not present to know where there is pain, where there's tension. And today it's very normal for us to fall into a state of stress. And when we are stressed, our body reacts. I experienced this myself. I thought that after becoming a monk, I'd be very peaceful, very happy all the time. It was such a wrong perception. But I'm not sad because of that. Whenever you suffer, whenever you have pain, is an opportunity for you to practice, is an opportunity for you to measure and see, I still have tension, I still have anxiety, I still have anger. It's okay, because we are all human. These feelings, these emotions is also a part of us. But when I was very stressed, particularly in year 2012 was 30 year of Plum Village. So we celebrated our 30-year anniversary. And that year, because of our celebration, we were extremely busy in preparing for many wonderful retreats and many wonderful celebrations to take care of our center. And that also means we had a lot of projects. And one of the big projects was our teacher's exhibition. Our teacher, he has an art of calligraphy. And in the practice of calligraphy, he writes sentences and quotes that allows us to be reminded of the practice. And that year, we hosted a calligraphy exhibition in Plum Village for all of our friends who come visit from around the world to enjoy the art of calligraphy. But behind the scene, there was a lot of back and forth, running here and there, discussing with each other how to set it up. And of course, just like any organization, when there's a lot of minds that come together, there's some clashes or some, we say, disagreement. But we learn to harmonize our views. We learn to let go of our views, to always see that the project is not something personal for us, but it is for the benefit of everyone. So of course, in this work, I myself had some tension and I had some stress, and your body is also very in tune with your intention. Your body allows yourself to also keep going. And at that time, I drank a lot more coffee. I even drank some energy drinks, Red Bull, in order to keep, because I thought I needed this in order to keep going. And after the last retreat to celebrate, which was I think our retreat in Germany, I came back to Plum Village, and my body shut down, and I got really sick. I had very high fever, and I've never been sick like that. I was sick for I think two whole weeks, and at that time I remember there was nothing to do because I was too sick. And luckily, I had the practice of the third exercise is to come back to the body. And unfortunately, I was too young at that time, and I didn't have enough experience to take care of myself during the preparation and during the offering of our retreats. If I knew how to truly come back and to take care and be aware of the body and to release the tension, then my body would have had more of an opportunity to heal and to be more strong. But that was not the case. And in the time of being sick, I had the chance to really be with just the body. And I saw, wow, how much of a suffering it is when you are in pain, when you cannot move. You feel you're not independent anymore. And in that time, I had nothing to do. I was too sick, so I knew I had to just learn to let go. Let go of my expectation, let go of what if, or what should I do. It's more just to come back to the body, and when you listen to your body, you will know exactly what to do and what not to do. In our society, a lot of us experience burnouts. And burnout does not discriminate. Whether you are young or older, we all can be in a situation where we exhaust ourselves and we burn ourselves out. And when we burn ourselves out, we also lose our motivation to our aspiration, and motivation to our own well-being. And we may fall into a despair or to wanting to give up. So here, we have to know that if we take care of the present moment, we are taking care of burnout. We don't wait for burnout to happen to take care of it. That was my own lesson. That was my own experience. And so when you come back to your body and you are truly there, you can be in touch with where there is pain. And we, as a practitioner, we don't use an X-ray machine, but we use a ray of mindfulness. And we can scan our parts of our body from the tip of the head to all the way to the sole of our feet. And we can also go deeper into the organs. And it's a miracle when you are truly there with your body and your body parts that are in pain, and you give it attention, you give it your awareness. You will see that already the pain and the tension already begins to lessen. You don't do anything yet, but you just are there with it. Just like a mother, when the baby cries, the first thing she does is to carry the baby and embrace the baby. And when the baby is embraced, before the mother finds the cause of it and tries to relieve the pain, the baby already feels safe. It feels at home in the embrace of the mom or the father. And so just like us, our body, our pain, our tension, as long as it knows it is being cared for, it is okay. So the fourth practice is to release the tension in our body. So the first 4 exercise is in the establishment of our body, aware of what is happening, our breath, and then being in touch with our physical body. If as a practitioner if we cannot bring ourselves to be aware of our body, it is much more difficult to go into the realms of taking care and transforming our feelings, our perceptions, our mental formations. So the first 4 exercises, very practical, very simple, and at the same time, this can be practiced anywhere. In this retreat, we'll have a chance formally to sit together. And in this retreat at home, online, we really wish that each and every one of us establish a habit so that when the retreat is finished, we can continue to maintain the practice of mindfulness in our daily life. And we will have to be more skillful in finding ways to bring the practice into our daily life to make it suitable. So let us practice this together. Let's practice the third and the fourth. As you breathe in, you become aware of your whole body. As you breathe out, stay with the body. As you breathe in, you release the tension in your body. So already with this 4 practice, we are also practicing the 3 teachings: mindfulness, concentration, and insight. When you're aware of your breath, you have mindfulness. And when you follow, you learn and you develop your concentration, you stay with your breath. You are grounded in the present moment. You are grounded in your action. You develop your concentration. And when you are in touch with your body, you become alive, you become awake, and then you also have insight. When you're in touch with your body, you have insight that there is life, that you are alive. That is an enlightenment, that is an insight. So we also have touch, insight in our daily life. A lot of people, they are alive, but they don't know that they are alive. But when you practice meditation, you practice mindfulness, you know that you are alive because you are breathing. And in life, if you are alive, there's many opportunities. We have the art to take care of the present moment when you are truly alive. And in the present moment, healing and transformation is possible because you learn to change your old habits and you learn to see what is benefiting you, and you have a new way of being. So healing is possible already right in the present moment. In the 5th practice of mindful breathing is to be aware of joy. And the 6th is aware and be in touch with happiness. It's so important for us to learn to nourish our body and at the same time learn to nourish our mind, our whole life, our whole being. And you know, when there is joy and there's happiness in life, it gives you energy. And you might think, oh, in Plum Village, everything is so bubbly, breathing in, breathing out, I am blooming as a flower. You might think that we only talk about happiness. Of course, we have to talk about happiness because it is so essential for our well-being. But talking about it is not enough. To truly touch joy and touch happiness, it takes time and it takes practice. It takes awareness. We have the gatha, waking up this morning, I smile. Because you have 24 brand new hours to live. That is an insight that we forget each day. Because in the beginning, if you are not aware that you have 24 brand new hours, you take it for granted and you don't live deeply that life, the life that you have. And at the end of the day, you may not know, but after each day, your life is shortened by one day. And we also have a gatha to end our day. And in the gatha, the line that always stick to me is, the day is now ending, what have you done? And a lot of time I said, oh man, I didn't do much. And sometimes I said, oh, I helped someone today, or I was able to do something with the community, etc. But a lot of the times we may find ourselves at the end of the day, what have I done? Have I created more suffering, or have I created more happiness? So this practice here is not wishful thinking, because if you are truly alive, of course, we have a lot of things to take care of. We have a lot of things that we have to put our mind into, but we shouldn't lose the capacity to touch joy and happiness. And most of us have lost that capacity, and we have to be reminded. When you look at a child, this year because of coronavirus, COVID, we are closed. We've been closed for 5 months now, 5 months. And honestly speaking, I think at the beginning, I was like, ooh, this is really nice. I say, oh, this is what a monastery feels like. Because most of the time, we're always really a lot of people come and practice with us. But after the second month, I start to miss the flow of our friends from around the world, retreatants coming in and out. Because all of you are also a source of our life, a source of happiness for us. And especially in the summer, we usually have a lot of children that come. And they are like little flowers that are popping up everywhere around the monastery. And when you look at a child, you can see he and she is fully alive with life. The way she plays, the way she smiles, the way he bows, the way he greets you, you see, this is a wonder of life. And we forget that most of us were also a child at one point, and we were also very fresh. We also had a lot of energy, of curiosity to life. And slowly we develop new habits. And in the development of the habits, depending on each and every one of our condition, our freshness, our element of flowerness is very dry now. And when we realize that we are very dry, we don't have a lot of energy. And when we don't have freshness, everything that happens around us is not fresh anymore. Even if it's happiness, someone may experience happiness, but for you, because you are so depleted with this energy of joy and happiness, you are blind and you cannot be in touch with that joy and happiness. So the practice of meditation is also learning to come back in. Most of the time we try to find the answer outside of us. I suffer because I haven't done this. And everything we try to label is always outside of us. But here, with meditation, we learn to come back inwards. And you learn to be in touch with the simplicity of joy and happiness that is there. Our eyes are happiness. When you can wake up and you can see your loved ones, that is happiness. When you see that you are still healthy, you are walking freely, no one has to support you, that is happiness. We learn to get in touch with the joy and happiness in the present moment, so that later on, when we lose the ability to be well, we don't regret our way of living. We are of the nature of impermanent. That is a very strong reality. We are young, we are healthy now, but we are of the nature of impermanence. We are of the nature to get sick. We are of the nature to die. But when you practice mindful living, you don't wait to that moment to then practice. You are alive now, you are well now. We learn to come and cultivate our joy, our happiness. So in this retreat, I invite you, I challenge you to see the simple happiness in your home. When you make your food, you're chopping a carrot, a vegetable. You do it with concentration, fully there. And you see that this carrot, this rice, this pasta, it will nourish the body. It will take care of the body. And with something so beautiful like that, when you have that mindfulness, you see that this piece of carrot, this piece of bread is not from nothing that manifests. It takes the whole cosmos to come together for that food to be present. And so you have joy. And then you know joy, in Buddha's, in our teachers' teaching, sometimes joy, there's still a little bit of excitement. You know, oh, I'm gonna make a very delicious dish. But then when you eat it, wow, happiness, happiness. You enjoy your own fruit of action. So happiness and joy is not wishful thinking, and it's also not something so far away. If you cannot touch the simple joy and happiness that is present, don't think about touching deeper joy and happiness. If you cannot become aware of the simplicity that is already present, then we won't have the capacity to dwell and be in touch with something more further away. So, aware of joy and aware of happiness is to bring balance to our well-being, our body, our life, our energy. And then the 7th and the 8th, I know in my description I'm supposed to only speak to the 6th, but it's hard not to go to the 7th and 8th, because the 7th and 8th is to take care of painful feelings. And the seventh is to be aware of painful feelings and emotions that manifest in us. And the eighth is to stay and to be with it. And here we have to be very careful. A lot of the times when we are in touch with our pain and our suffering, we might have the idea that I have to transform it right away. I have to change it right away. Or we have to push it away because we're being taught we are happiness, we are joy. But with this awareness, we know that a part of us is also suffering that we have been in touch with in our daily life. Some of the suffering that we have is from our own experience. But some of our sufferings, it also is transmitted to us from our parents, our ancestors, and also from our society. We interact with everything that is around us. So when there is suffering outside, of course there is suffering inside. But here with this two exercise, we are not afraid of it because we learn to embrace, we learn to be with the suffering. And first and foremost, though, to bring balance to ourselves, we have to take care of our well-being. Just like a doctor or surgeon, when he or she wants to operate on a patient, he needs to make sure the patient is strong enough to operate. So it's the same with us. If we are so overwhelmed by our suffering, our emotions, our pain, then when it comes up, we cannot really stay with our mindfulness. We are carried away. We are overwhelmed. So we have to develop the balance. We have to take care of our well-being first. That's why the fifth and the sixth comes before the seventh and the eighth. But these exercises, this insight, it all takes care of each other. Because of course, when we take care and we are aware of our pain and our suffering, it also brings joy and happiness. Some of our suffering, when it's too overwhelming, you have to be very solid with yourself and you say, okay, my dear little suffering, I know you are there. I'm aware of you. And today I can only stay with you for this much. And if it's so overwhelming, you have to invite another energy up to embrace that pain, that suffering. And then you invite the concentration and the seed of mindfulness. And very simply, just come back to the breath, come back to the body, and let your breath calm you down in your feelings and your emotions. So some of the suffering, it is not transformed right away. But in time, transformation is happening every moment when you practice. My own experience with this is I used to have a fear in the community. I had this fear of being around brothers and sisters who are elder, who are in the age group of my uncles and aunts. Because when I was younger, some of my relatives, my cousins, they had so much suffering from the war and the refuge, being a boat person and leaving the country. And when they suffer, they don't know what to do. So they would yell or bully us and sometimes would hit us. And we were very young, me and some of my younger cousins. And we don't know why we were being beaten or being hit or being bullied. And that left a wound in my experience, in my consciousness. And then when I enter into this monastic community, into this mindful community, of course, intellectually, I knew that these brothers and sisters won't beat me, won't bully me. But that suffering that is still alive and still in my consciousness still painted a picture of these brothers. And I copied and pasted that experience on my brothers and my sisters. And I try not to show it in my daily life, but there's many times I would try to hide away from them. Or I was very scared by being called by my mentor or my abbot. And at that time, there was a group of baby monks and nuns in the community. Now there's many, but back then there was much more less. And we were sometimes quite naughty. And every time we were being called in is either we are being reprimanded, right? Or instructed, you shouldn't do this. As a monk, we don't behave like that. And so every time I get called, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh man, I'm in trouble. And I live with that fear every time you get called. Right? So after many, many years, suddenly I realized that this suffering, this fear, the root of it was from my childhood, was when I was being helpless. And I didn't know right and wrong. And I allowed that suffering to replay itself in the present moment, replay itself in the action of my community. And when I finally recognized that, that is why I feel so uncomfortable in these moments, I had the insight. And a little bit, I felt more free, because now I recognize at that time I was a young adult. I was a young adult, and I'm more in control of my surrounding. I understand my community more. I have to remind myself that my brothers and sisters will not behave like that. I have to change the peg. I have to change that experience. I have to let the new present moment become a reality, and slowly it will be bigger than the past suffering. And it did not take 1 or 2 sessions of sitting meditation, my friend. It took me 5 years. It took me 5 years to feel free and to feel that I have transformed that fear in me. And I remember calling one of my younger cousins. And because I was infected with that pain and that suffering, and I didn't know the practice, so of course that pain and suffering, I looked for a way to express it. And I remember particularly I had one younger cousin that I always bullied. Even though deep down inside, I love her a lot. She's my family. We grew up together. But I would always find time to bully her at any moment. And this is thanks to the practice. I realized that those actions that I've done probably have also left a scar or some painful memories in her. And even though after many years as a monk, I had a very, very good relationship with a lot of my family. And one day I decided to apologize. I called my cousin and I said, just listen, okay? I just want to say, I'm sorry. And she said, we haven't seen each other for 5 years. What are you sorry for? It's true, because now I live in France. And I said, for all those times that when we were younger, the way I behaved and the way I acted, now I realize that they were not my true intention. I behave out of suffering. I behave out of habits. And of course she said, "Oh, you know, that's when we were young, we were dumb, we were mean to each other. It's only natural." And I said, "No, for me, but it was an action. It is something that I did. It is something that I left behind. So therefore today, I want to take this opportunity to apologize and to let you know that I am not proud of those moments. And if I have caused you suffering, please forgive me. Please allow me to begin anew, to press that refresh button." And of course she accepted. And even if she didn't accept, at least I have done that work inside of me. Because I feel that if I don't put an end to it, then if unskillfully she may behave the same to others who is younger than her or in her groups of friends, and she may act the way because she has that suffering. So I see the circle of samsara, I see the circle of action keep repeating. And suddenly when you have the practice, you stop, you know, and you reflect on it, and you transform it in the present moment. You allow that cycle of suffering to be transformed, to end. So that is also our practice of mindfulness. I have a few more minutes. And I would now share with us, with all of you, the four noble truths. It's one of the first teachings that the Buddha gave after his enlightenment. And it has been handed down to us through many generations. And I've already touched base on it, but just to name it so that we all can understand it and you can see it as you progress in your practice. The first noble truth is that there is suffering, there is ill-being. That suffering is present everywhere. We just need to look left and right and you can see it, or you just look inside and you can see it. And we may ask ourselves, why is it so noble? Why is it something we have to call it by its name? It's because in suffering, we can learn from it and we can grow from it. If you recognize that suffering is there and you see how suffering has made you feel, has conditioned you, then you wouldn't want to offer that suffering to other people. And some of the suffering that we have, that I shared, it is passed on to us. And our parents may not have the same conditions like us to be in touch with the practice, to have a chance to look at it. So if we can transform our suffering, our ill-being, we are also transforming our suffering for our parents, for our ancestors. And with this insight, we also see that when we practice, we are not practicing for ourselves. The second noble truth for us to be in touch with is the roots of our suffering. When we suffer, we know that suffering doesn't come from nowhere. It has to have a root. Just like I shared when I had fear of just being around elder uncles and aunts, brothers and sisters. I had that fear, but because I wasn't aware of where it's from, I behave and I act with that fear. But when you see the root of that suffering, just seeing it, you already feel more free. You see clarity in it. You see, this is why I suffer. It's because I allow myself to watch this kind of information, hear this kind of information, be around people that are violent, that are angry. Therefore, it conditions you and conditions the suffering in you. So we have to practice to look deeply to see the suffering. The third, cessation. The third is the cessation of our suffering. And the fourth is the path out of our suffering. So once we understand and we see the roots of our suffering, we have happiness. We see, it could end because we have seen the root of it. And one of the roots we have to identify, we can sometimes see it, the food of our suffering. We know that everything has to be nourished to stay alive. So our suffering has to be nourished for it to remain. And we may be nourishing without even knowing that we are nourishing it. And I have seen friends and people who are also attached to their suffering. Because that suffering is a part of their life. They have identified themselves with suffering. And if you remove that suffering from that person may feel very empty. That person may feel that something is not there anymore. So we also have to have the courage to put an end to our suffering. And that is why we have to have the path. We have to have a way of being, a new way. And in Buddhism, our teacher has taught very clearly of the Eight Noble Paths. So when we recognize, we see that we are suffering, that is a noble truth, and that can help free us also from discrimination. Because we know everyone suffers. When we suffer, we know the ones that are around us also suffer. And when we are in a relationship, we have to practice seeing that his suffering is also your suffering. Your suffering is also her suffering. Your happiness, your transformation is also his and her transformation and happiness. So we can't remove, when we're in a relationship, we can't say this is mine and this is yours, because we interconnect. So with the Four Noble Truths, we have to also look at our well-being, our happiness. If we have happiness now, we recognize that we have happiness. We have freedom. And we have to see the root of our happiness. We have to see what is nourishing our well-being, what is nourishing our joy, what is giving us life. Because we know that happiness also has to have food to survive. Love has to have food to survive. And we also have to find a way, and we see the roots, and we know if we stop practicing and we stop doing things to nourish it, then it will end our happiness. And we will fall into the realm of ill-being again. And we also have to have a path to help nourish and sustain our well-being, our happiness in our daily life. So with this, we see that the practice here is not after 10 years, 5 years, you touch enlightenment, you touch happiness, you touch love, and you touch understanding. But you know it is a daily training, it's a daily practice to maintain our practice energy, our Dharma body, our well-being. And if we don't see suffering as it is and we don't call it by its name with our practice of mindfulness, then that suffering will also continue to be present and to play its role in our own life. And when we touch suffering and we see its roots, and when we touch suffering, we see that when we suffer, what we say, what we do, the way we interact, it leads to more suffering. And when you can see that, you see that there is cause and effect right away. You have new insight. You have new awakening. That I have to put an end to that. I have to change the CD. I have to change the peg. I have to bring a new practice into my life in order to be aware of my bodily actions, my speech. So these are some of the practices that we nourish as a community that brings us transformation and brings us healing. And we believe that if everyone in the world can also be in touch and practice with the seed of mindfulness, which let them wake up to life, wake up to suffering as well as wake up to happiness, then there is a chance of transformation and there's a chance of happiness in the world. So thank you, dear friends. This is all I have to offer today. And tomorrow we will have another Dhamma talk by one of our sisters to continue to nourish our understanding of the practice for us to continue to recognize our suffering, recognize our well-being, and also find ways of bringing love and transformation into our daily life. Thank you very much. Let us end with 3 sounds of the bell. Please sit comfortably wherever you are, at home, on a cushion, on a chair, on a sofa. Just come back to your breath. Let yourself come home to the present moment and let yourself just dwell with the breathing. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Please take time to undo your legs, massage them. You've been sitting for a long time, maybe almost 2 hours with us. So take time to wake up your body. Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Pháp Hữu, for such simple clarity in the daily practice, in the basic practice, and your richness of experience. I hope that you've been able to really see yourself in his experiences, and thank you for your calm and solid energy. So the next activity will be a guided total relaxation at 2:30 in our time. But please check in your own time if you're in other countries. And then at 3:30 is Dharma sharing or circle sharing. And please look on Teachable for the links to join in Zoom. Okay, so we hope you enjoy the practice as you continue to put it into the rest of the day and continue to practice with us. Thank you. So we will stand up and bow to offer our gratitude to our Dharma teacher. And to the awakened nature within us on the altar.